it. It's the real to you, damn it. You support who's your favorite. Talking name, Jay Styles, Chris Jericho, and all the greatest. Your top 5 dead or alive, the broader stages. Like WrestleMania, all in and all out. NXT takeover, what the business about. Putting fans in the stands and the millions at home. Like The Rock versus Stone Cold, we're stealing the show. Wrestle Fandom Radio and Disruption Network with Dippin' Donuts. ICW.
What is up? How's it going? Oh, there he is. Oh, look at that. Look at that sweet thing that Stu is wearing. Look at that. That's Buffalo Bills right there. Yeah, baby.
That's right. That's all right. It's a birthday present. That's a birthday present from Mom and Dad.
All right. Nice.
They know me all too well.
In face to face now.
Thanks.
By the way, but yes, this is Disruption Network, and you are watching Wrestle Fandom Radio, the greatest podcast you have never heard. And dude, lot going on.
Yeah, see what happens when we miss a week?
I know. So there's been an insane amount of allegation stuff going on because it's a lot of the stuff is allegation and not a lot of it is 100% yet. And trust me, we are not saying that this stuff didn't happen. We're not saying anything like that.
We are not defending anybody, and we are not accusing anybody.
We're not defending anybody at all, ever. So, but there, what I'm saying is there's a ton of allegation stuff. So if you want to know what that is, this is the one time I'm going to tell you. Go Google that stuff all by yourself. Google it, okay? Because we're not getting into it. We're trying to stay positive.
Yeah. Hashtag speaking out.
Hashtag speaking out. So yeah, check that out. Basically, the only thing I could say against that is don't be any type of weird sexual predator. That stuff's weird and you suck. Yeah, other than that, keeping it positive on the show.
Yeah, absolutely positive. Okay, I just want to say one thing. Just one thing. All right. You remember that episode of How I Met Your Mother? Nice, bro. Yeah. Nice. Chicken, we're coming for your show. Just kidding. We're not. But we'd love to be on it again.
Stu can. I can't. I'm not good enough to even sit in on that show. That's all you, bro.
All right. But you remember that episode of How I Met Your Mother where they find out that Robin is Robin Sparkles?
Yeah.
All right. And they're like, why are you wearing like a jean jacket? Why are you dressed like that? And she's like, well, it's in Canada, and Canada's like 5 years behind everything.
Yeah.
It's the same with wrestling, man. With everything that's going on, like they just tend to be behind the times. But enough of that. So what do you want to talk about, buddy?
Well, there's definitely three topics we're going to hit on tonight. Number one, we definitely got to talk about Paul Heyman.
We do.
Not being in charge of Raw. Let's start with that.
Okay.
One, while I've actually, now been trying to keep up on what's at the events that are actually happening on the show, I'm missing a lot of the background news for some reason. I keep on, it's like something happens and then I don't hear about it till you and I are talking, on here. So do you know exactly when this happened?
I wanted to talk about it last week, but sorry, work stuff got in the way. So it was, it was before Backlash. So not this past Sunday, the Sunday before that. It was like the Friday or Thursday or something before that. So a couple weeks, but it's basically because of rating sag is what I'm kind of gathering from it all, even though Heyman had made note to Vince that you haven't built new stars. You constantly rely on Brock Lesnar. He's a draw, I get it, but you haven't built new stars. It's going to take a while. He gave Vince a timetable of 18 months when he was put in charge. Hasn't even been 18 months. It's been like a year.
But plus, if I may interject, everything is going to be out of whack right now with the way, with the whole empty arena thing, or You know, I do like the way they're doing it, and they're bringing in like, I think, is that like the enhancement talent or like the developmental talent to like, you know, cheer and boo and pound on the plexiglass, and I'm down. I'm actually down with that.
Yeah, I am. I think they should
like
leave.
it.
I think they should
You know.
leave like people that have been on NXT, like Xia Li. I've seen her in that crowd. My girl Carter. I've seen her in that crowd. I think those people that have been on TV, you don't put them in there. But all the other, like the talent that you're not going to recognize, I don't see a problem with it. I know my boy Tommy Champs, Tommaso Ciampa, has made a point to say that he doesn't believe any of them should be there because they're trying to be, that's what they're trying to do in life. They're trying to progress, get better so that they can be on TV. But then if you say that, that's like saying that Jeff Hardy or Moxley, when they were unknowns to WWE audiences, that they should have never gotten squashed, before they were stars, in dark matches. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see a problem with it, but it helps a little bit.
Yeah. It helps take away like the complete, crickets that's been going on.
I do.
You can still say something. Adam Cole still gets his, his shout now when he does that. Even if everything else he says afterwards gets booed, it's still, it adds to the ambiance.
Yes, there you go.
Yes. It helps. It really does. So
one complaint I do have was at Backlash when they piped in audience noise for that Randy Orton Edge match. Yeah, that was a bit much. Although that match was not the greatest wrestling match of all time.
Yeah,
sorry,
what
guys.
I'm trying to do, like calling it the great. I saw someone post something. It was like, they threw in the Tenacious D stuff, like this is not the greatest wrestling match in the world. This is just like they wrote around it, and I was like, yeah, there you go.
I'm sorry, you're not Eddie versus Ray at Halloween Havoc 98, I think it was, that opening match, which
Yes.
I mean I find to be possibly the greatest match, definitely the greatest match in WCW history. Fight me about it. Anybody in comments, I don't care. But even Edge, even Adam Copeland himself was interviewed about it, and he's like, yeah, they shouldn't be billing it as the greatest wrestling match of all time. And he has a number of different reasons for saying that, but it was still our boy TK. He was on Facebook. He was like, well, that was a good match. Not the greatest match, but it's definitely a very good match. So
yeah.
But I am pleased to at least have some noise, even though they tell them who to cheer and who to boo. I don't really like that. I like how AEW does it a little bit more with having the faces on this side, the heels on this side, and then the faces and the heels act accordingly when people come out. I like that a little bit better, but it does help with the ambiance, as you so correctly put it.
Right.
But back to Heyman.
Yes. So to circle back to Heyman, then, so is there any lead on who's doing what, who's calling the shots, and what direction they're going to attempt to go?
Bruce Pritchard, who was in charge of SmackDown, and SmackDown's actually been pretty damn good lately. I will admit that. Sonya Deville's stuff has been great. I'm glad she's finally getting a push on SmackDown. But Pritchard, who, you know me, I love storylines, I love promos, but I really love, meat and potatoes wrestling. He's more of a storyline guy. He and Vince McMahon are now they're not only in charge writing SmackDown, but also Raw. That's why supposedly rumors are they have put a 10-minute cap on matches on actual TV, which I think does hurt your product. 10 minutes is fine and dandy, I guess, for TV, because they're not really supposed to necessarily be huge, long ones. But you got to have a match that sometimes goes longer than that, or else it's predictable. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you're going to have just
a 10-minute tag match?
Yeah, they did. this Championship Monday that just happened.
I know.
They did.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that one bit.
If you're gonna do that, make it kayfabe then. Just go back to just say that there's a 10-minute time limit, and then if it reaches 10 minutes, it's a draw. And I know they don't want to do that. AEW will do that because they admit they're a wrestling product, unlike WWE.
Right.
Who actually, with this whole Heyman thing, with him getting let go, he is still under contract as an on-screen performer. Okay, but I went back and watched his right before Survivor Series back in 2002 or 3 when they were the Survivor Series where they did the Invasion versus WWE winner take all, and the SmackDown before, Heyman got to shoot on Vince for like 10 minutes in the ring. I went back and watched that, and he really he those words still ring true about how Vince made the word wrestling a dirty word because he needs sports entertainers. I love how Paulie does it. It just really rings true, and it's kind of sad, and I understand they're in panic mode because this is what WWE does every single year. They go into panic mode. But I to be honest, they just should have. I understand they have TV networks breathing down their neck. I get it. But TV networks got to understand the wrestling business too. If you don't have stars, you need time to grow your stars.
Right.
Like the Raw Women's division is definitely going to be in trouble right now. Because you had Ronda Rousey leave. She's gone off. Becky left because she's pregnant. Charlotte's now out with surgery. She's not coming back till at least SummerSlam. And some rumors are stating that she actually requested personal time. She might not be back till the Rumble.
That's a long time with no Charlotte.
Yeah. So who's going to be your?
Her go on a hell of a run when she comes back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know she's like your favorite, bud, and I do like Charlotte. I think she's a great performer. But they have not. Once again, she's like the female equivalent of Brock Lesnar. Like the only reason Asuka beat her on Monday, made her tap out, was because she put her in the Asuka lock because she got jumped by Nia Jax. She still dominated 90% of the match against Asuka. She did not put her over at all. And it just, I don't understand why they do that. She's going out until at least SummerSlam. So why do you not have Asuka, even if Charlotte got injured by Nia? Why don't you have Asuka be kicking her ass? You know what I mean? So they have those. I mean, they have stars. We know. Shayna Baszler, Vince is an idiot. Shayna Baszler could be a top tier star for Raw in that division. Asuka could be. I don't know what's going on with Bianca Belair. They called her up. She hadn't done nothing except make a couple of appearances. Right there, Bianca Belair. You're telling me she couldn't be gold on Raw? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely could be.
So they've got the stars. It's like they don't want to push any of them, and I don't understand. Like, you complain about your ratings sagging.
Do you know why? You know what my theory is on that is a lot of the people that you just named all came from NXT, and Triple H made those people. Not me. They make themselves. He lets them make themselves. You know what I mean? He definitely but they came from what he started and not what they did. And exactly. I think as much as obviously Vince lets Hunter do everything, he still didn't make them. Someone else did. And it may actually bug him. I don't know.
I think it does. I mean, why do you think Sting lost to Triple H at WrestleMania? I don't think it was Triple H. I mean, we're not back there, so we can't talk because everyone likes to think that Triple H just wants to bury everybody. Okay, maybe in the beginning of the 2000s, maybe during the Reign of Terror. But I personally, if Triple H was responsible, I don't know. I'm just talking out my ass here. But if Triple H was responsible for that match with Sting, I think he would have put Sting over.
Yeah. I think
Personally.
he definitely would have. You're telling me the guy who willingly got pinned by the Brooklyn Brawler is
Yeah.
going to want to go over on his one match with Sting? I don't think so. And not, I mean, and if it was in like 2005, then like, yeah, maybe he would have wanted to go over on Sting to then continue to look big and beat him. But like when they wrestled, it wasn't that important that he won.
No, not at all. So I think that was
Not even a little.
Vince's whole thing is if he didn't make you, he doesn't want you to be the star. That's just how it is. Like, look how he treated, and I mean, look how he treated Ricochet. Ricochet was an NXT guy. He was also a Paul Heyman guy, and then for no reason whatsoever, he was like doing good, and then just they dropped him off a cliff. They had him lose to Riddick Moss. Where has Riddick Moss been?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I don't understand. But as always, even though Bruce Pritchard, sorry, bud, whether it's true or not, Bruce Pritchard, you have been labeled a yes man. I'm willing to see, because he has done well with SmackDown, I'm willing to see what he can do with Raw as well. But I still think getting rid of Heyman was a mistake. Absolutely.
Right. I definitely agree to that.
I am massively biased, but
right.
If I can look at it through an unbiased scope and what would be best for the company, I even have, I don't understand why they didn't just have Pritchard and Heyman work together, unless maybe, like I said, we don't know these people, so maybe they just can't stand each other.
Yeah, they might not like each other. That's also a possibility.
Well, a lot of wrestlers that wrestle each other don't necessarily like each other, and they Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, but they still put on hell of matches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Shawn Michaels accused Bret Hart of cheating on his wife with Tammy Sitch, and they still put on good matches with each other.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's bollocks.
Yeah. So the next thing I wanted to get to, I'm not sure if I said it out loud on the last show that we did, or if I wanted to, if it's just something I was like, oh, we'll talk about next time. I was wondering when the how do I want to say it? The inevitable. It's inevitable, in my opinion, that they were going to put the Northeast or the North American champion against the NXT champion, right?
Yep.
And so I was like, oh, I wonder when they're going to do that. And then they literally did it that night. And I feel like I should have said it so out loud so I could have had the proof that I said, oh, why don't they do this? And then that's when they start doing the storyline of the whole winner takes all eventuality. And I'm just like, oh, I should have said it. But so regardless of any, we can talk, all day about who's going to win the triple threat and then who's going to face Cole and then who's going to be the champ. We could go on about that. But we don't exactly need to, because where I want the discussion to go is, do you think that they are going to nix the North American Championship?
I don't know.
Once they have the double champ.
I could see them doing it, just like I could see them doing that with the women's titles right now. But that's a whole nother story. Just because the roster is so small.
Right.
Well, I mean, the roster is huge, but the people that are available, it's small right now. So I wouldn't say that they need to consolidate it. I could see someone walking around with both belts for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because eventually people are going to come back, and then you're not going to have that mid-card title. Unlike, as we did talk briefly about this in text a couple days ago, do you think they're going to just have the Cruiserweight title be the secondary title? But
that's my other point, because you do have the whole set. It could be good and bad, right? Because one, I like the North American title. I like mid-card titles, right?
So do I. Yep.
But you also know that I love the Cruiserweight title because I want to see these smaller guys, getting into it and getting, I mean, hell, I wanted, Cruiserweight tag things, and I want 205 Live to be a big show all the time. I think that they could have something if they did 5 shows correctly, and you could even have a women's division on that with certain people, but it would stand to reason then to have a lot of your bigger guys end up going after just the NXT championship, and then focus your smaller guys on the cruiserweight, which would then be your mid card, and then it can take you in different, places. Like you could end up having somebody like Finn Balor, who weighs 198, who gets the cruiserweight, but then also wins the NXT title. You know what I mean? And he's the king of NXT. You know what I mean? And then they could pull that off too. But I'm not sure what they're going to do with it. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't know. Either way, it's cool with somebody walking around with 2 titles. I mean, Seth Rollins, was he the last one to do it when he had the US title and the WWE?
Yeah, there's somebody else that has done it recently, and I'm trying to think.
I don't know why I can't think of it. I'm like, as I'm saying it, I'm like, no, it's got to be somebody else. There's somebody else who had it, who also had it afterwards. I don't know. I can't think of it. But,
oh, man.
I mean, okay. So, who do you think will win the triple threat, though? I mean, I guess maybe we should go over that. But,
well, it's Keith Lee, Finn Balor, and
Johnny.
And Johnny. Okay, yeah, slipping on Johnny. All right. I will give, well, it's NXT, so I guess I don't necessarily have to say WWE, but I'll give them credit anyways. Usually when things like this happen, believability that Keith Lee could possibly lose, or, that somebody could lose, you have to make it believable, like that this person could possibly win. Okay? Right. They have a terrible habit of not doing that. But for once, even though I think Keith Lee's going to win, I think, and he's going to face Adam Cole. But they did put Finn in there. The way they're pushing Finn, and they want, he wants the NXT title back, because even though Adam Cole is the longest reigning, a lot of people still will consider it. They're not necessarily wrong that Finn Balor was the best NXT champion. Okay,
And you know me, I don't dislike Finn in any way, but I'm not the hugest Finn guy. I would love to see him used in the right spots for certain things. But I'm forced to agree that he's probably been the absolutely the best NXT champ so far. So
and throwing Johnny in there, who just had a face turn. Holy crap. Just had a heel turn. I mean, also, and just had a match with Keith Lee, has been feuding with Keith Lee. So they make it, they're at least trying to make it, like a guessing game, like, oh, who's going to win? But I would say, people think about it, and just the way they're going with it, you got to think they're just going to give it to Keith Lee, because everyone wants to see Keith Lee win that title, because Keith Lee is going to get called over to SmackDown or Raw eventually, especially with Matt Riddle. But anyways, but they did a good job with making you have to suspend your belief that just Keith Lee's going to win. You know what I mean? They're at least doing a good job with that. So,
okay.
And just I was going to say another just random thought I had, by the way, about 205 Live, because 205 Live is not bad. They've actually had times, like I haven't watched in a while, where their storytelling is pretty damn good, character development's pretty damn good. It's just the crowd was always dead tired, not into it because it was filmed after SmackDown. You know what I mean?
Which is dumb.
Yes. You know what would make 205 Live way better? And I would do this after fans are allowed back. And I don't even care if it's just copying AEW. Make 205 Live WWE's AEW Dark. Just have it be on YouTube every week. Then you don't have to worry about ratings because then you're getting WWE's favorite metric. You're getting those views on YouTube. So just have it be a YouTube show. Like an hour and a half. Why not?
They could. I think it is. I think it should actually be at the Performance Center.
Yeah. I mean, why spend the money traveling, making them travel? You could save costs. And WWE is all about saving that money.
Yeah. 205 Live could absolutely just be at the Performance Center. I've gone on and on multiple shows about what I think they should do with 205 Live. So, but yeah. So, do you think? So then you think Keith is going to go all the way?
I do, but like I said, if Finn won, it wouldn't surprise me. If they put Johnny over, that would seriously surprise me. But like I said, there's still the not quite knowing. Like they're doing a decent job in this triple threat match of me being like, I think Keith Lee's. I think they're really going to give it to him, but I could see it going to Finn, and a small part of me could see them doing Johnny, but not really. So, because really, you got a face, you got a heel, and Finn is a tweener. There's no doubt about that. They can use him any which way. So, but yeah, I think they're going to give it to Keith. He deserves it. He super deserves it. I think he would be like a Drew McIntyre champ, where he doesn't hold it for the longest time. They just give it to him because they know they're gonna pull him over to SmackDown or Raw. But yeah, I definitely see Keith taking it.
I want Keith to win the triple threat, and then I want him to go all the way and win it. Do I think that they're going to do that? I'm not 100%.
You're not 100%?
I'm not 100% that it won't be Finn.
Okay.
That
way you could continue the Keith and Johnny feud for a little bit if you do it that way.
If I was in charge, it'd be Keith all day. You know what I mean? The first double champ. I mean, look at the guy. You know what I mean? I think if you take any two guys in any formation of the other two and put them together, I think they weigh as much as him. You know what I mean? The man is massive, but he moves like the rest of them, which is gonna a part of me wants the triple threat to get out of hand, and then it's a 4-way for the winner take all and a ladder match. You know what I mean? A part of me wants that to happen too.
Has a 4-way match? Yeah. I was gonna say, has a 4-way match ever happened in NXT? But yeah, it has.
It definitely has. But yeah, part of me wants that match to just get out of hand, and then it's all for in a ladder match, take the titles down, winner take, that would be great too. But I'm not 100%. I think Cole's run his time as champ right now. Yeah. As of late, it's been a little stale.
I agree.
I don't blame him in any way. It could be the times. It could just be, the way everything is with the TV, and then the people not being there, and who knows? It's a multitude of things. I don't think any of those things are his fault. He's still been Adam Cole this whole time, doing good work.
Adam Cole, baby.
Yeah, he's still been doing all the good stuff. I just think it might be time for it's a lot like Becky Lynch. It's like she was red hot when she got the belt. She held on to it for a long time. She handed that off at the perfect time, because she was just about getting stale with the whole main thing, and being on top for, that solid, that long. And, but I would absolutely love for it to be Keith in any which way, shape, or form that they do it. I'm not 100% that all the gold won't end up on Finn. It also be cool for Johnny because he's the first Triple Crown champ. So that it'd be cool if he was also the first double champ. But it might be a good thing socially or politically or socio-politically to have Keith be the champ right now. Anyways, it's not, obviously that's not going to fix any type of real problem, but it's the way businesses handle things, and that could also be good in certain fashions. But yeah, so that's that.
I do want to see Finn versus Cole for one reason. All right. Just so I can see, like,
that'd be a hell of a match, period.
well, yeah, just so I can see, because someday I want to see, like, them, like, have an exchange in the beginning of the match, Matt wrestling, blah, 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 blah. Adam Cole shows up. Finn, then, Finn gets up. They chain wrestle, blah, 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 blah. Finn's up first. And then he can do this taunt. He can do the Adam Bebe taunt.
Yeah.
The guns.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, you know me. I like it. I don't know a lot of people that don't like Adam Cole. He's a great wrestler, great performer. Same with Finn. But I would love to see just, I don't know. I'm all about those moments, baby. Those moments.
Even if Keith walks away with everything, who's to say that they still can't have a good feud, or a good few matches? I mean, those two, that'd be a stellar match. That'd be gold, But tonight's closing discussion is absolutely going to be the fact that Undertaker announced he retired.
We think.
The Undertaker said he had zero desire to get back in the ring.
I know.
Obviously,
I kind of think
you can't even talk about like any modern wrestling or WWE or anything. We could have a whole show dedicated to just The Undertaker. So trying to talk about it at just the end of this might not even do its justice. We could do whole show. We could do a show per decade on everything that on all the wrestling that he did over like the last since the early 90s. We could go on and on. I mean, at one point, and I've said this for a long time, I think that he was one of the sole reasons that WWE stayed open.
Absolutely.
At the especially toward in the mid to late 90s.
Absolutely.
When the Monday Night War started, a lot of people still wanted to see like The Undertaker before, all the big stuff. Yeah, I mean, of course you had, the Shawn Michaels, and then once you had like The Rock and Stone Cold and Triple H and DX and all that.
They were good
stuff. That's when, in Mankind, that's when, yes, that's how they won. That's how they got on top. But, staying afloat, I mean, he's the only person who's, even though he did change his gimmick, he was still The Undertaker, but he's the only person, I think, whose character gimmick survived the 90s. Like, everyone, even if you have a gimmick and you focus it like a certain way, you have a certain attitude, even if you have like a nickname or like a fake name, that's not, he's The Undertaker, and that's it, you know what I mean? And it was just really interesting to see, and he's very unique in that fact. Like, I mean, you could also say the same thing about Sting, but he had to change it, and he never went back to the blonde high top and the multicolored face paint. He went Crow Sting and then did variations of that, later on, even when he was just like the more enforcer style Sting and different
Joker
ways.
Sting.
Yeah, it was still the black and white. It was still the black and white, and like the black clothes and the carrying the bat and maybe the trench coat, maybe not. And yeah, then you had the what's the motorcycle? What was?
Oh, the American Badass?
The American Badass. Thank you. I was like, Badass, what was the bit? Yeah. The American Badass Undertaker, and that was cool. That was definitely cool to see. But then, he went back and he's just always the Undertaker. And he gave the world memorable moment after memorable moment. I mean, we could honestly have, maybe we should have get Ant back on the show and do an entire Undertaker episode, and just do like a top 10 of moments. That might be a nice show. We gotta get Ant back on the show.
We do.
Killing me.
I mean, it's all right. I mean, with Undertaker,
on a show. We gotta do a lot.
Undertaker is one of the few, if not the only wrestler I could think of universally that I say nobody, obviously not nobody. I'm sure there's someone out there that doesn't dig the Undertaker, but really, he's universally loved across multiple generations of wrestling. Like I would argue that he is him, Austin. Really, I'm coming up with a lot of blanks of like wrestlers that like basically no one hates.
Right.
And he's the one. I'll also argue that like we use Chris Jericho a lot as the guy that reinvents himself the most, like doing the best job of it. I mean, you could argue Undertaker too, because yes, the Undertaker that arrived at Survivor Series back in the early 90s compared to like the Undertaker that was feuding with Edge were different, obviously, but they were still Taker and they were still different. He still changed up his character a lot through his time in WWE.
Yeah,
be it subtle or huge.
Yeah, there was the different types of Undertaker, the different degrees. Like even if you to get rid of the whole American Badass thing, like then even like the trench coat wearing the hat. I don't know what you call that hat, but like the
mortician hat.
Yeah, all of that. There was still the varying degrees of maybe how much makeup he put on before he came out, which did lots of different stuff for like the intensity in which he looked at you or looked through you, stuff like that. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
He's one of the most believable characters.
Degrees, it's like he was the Undertaker, but it was all varying degrees. It was here he is led by Paul Heyman, and he's just this big guy that's going to come out and
Paul Bearer.
Paul Bearer.
That would have been awesome.
I got my Pauls mixed up. And then and then here he is leading the Ministry of Darkness. And then here he is putting on MMA gloves and just like lacing into dudes. You know what I mean? But all of those were the big overcoat wearing, slow walking. And by the way, no better entrances.
Never.
Period.
Never.
No one has a better entrance than him ever. He has the greatest ring entrance of all time, especially at WrestleManias. And I cannot. And before we actually have the Undertaker episode, I will do my crazy insane research, and I gotta find it. But there was one WrestleMania where the entrance was flat the whole time
with the smoke, with the fog.
Yeah, and because they always had it, but this one, the smoke bellowed out for a lot of it, and then as it kind of started to clear, he was almost halfway down. and it was just like, oh man, there he is. Oh, like it was so perfect.
Do you remember?
And it was, yeah, dude, that was his best entrance because it was just like lightning, smoke, da da da, and then as it started to clear, he was just standing in it. Oh, dude. Do
you remember the entrance? I think it was at WrestleMania where there was the fog, the smoke, and it was like pretty far off the ground, and he looked like he was literally. It didn't even look like he was walking; he was just gliding, like floating. Yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, the most believable character. I don't even in his old age, I don't care because Brock Lesnar, when he ended the streak at WrestleMania, everybody still thought Undertaker. Yes, agreed. Everyone still thought that Taker was going to win, and people can argue about, well, that's only because it was WrestleMania and he never lost at Mania. He was still believable. Like, because you're always going to think Brock can beat the crap out of somebody. So for people to say that, oh, no, we knew Undertaker was going to win at WrestleMania. No, you didn't. Yeah, everyone was shocked when it happened. I've never seen a crowd killed faster than that WrestleMania. Never seen a crowd killed faster.
Pin drop. So, like, if the music wasn't playing, you could have heard a pin drop. Like, everyone, the one guy that they always go to whenever they show the streak, the big guy with the glasses, he's like that guy? Dude,
that transcends wrestling. You know what I mean? There's people that are not wrestling fans, like a ton of them, that will share that shocked dude's face. Like, I mean,
because it's perfect. That dude, he was everybody. He was everybody at that moment. There's no way that just happened. But yeah, we'll definitely get into bigger, more awesome stuff with it. I know he still stayed signed with them, and he's retiring from wrestling again. I would, like we did on I think were we talking about on the previous show, people would want to run like or manage or run a faction or anything like that. I would love to see Triple H, run some guys. I think that'd be smart. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. It all remains to be seen.
Could have Taker do it too. I mean, he did run the Ministry of Darkness for a hot minute.
Yeah. I mean, I'd definitely be awesome if he was in charge of whatever Aleister Black was going to be doing.
Yeah, or at least give him a rub. Even not like wrestling Aleister Black, you could still give him a rub, like come out and like help him or something. Or I don't know, maybe Undertaker's in the ring, like doing a farewell speech on Raw or something officially, and Aleister Black comes out and helps Taker out because someone's beating him down or something. Give somebody a rub.
Yeah,
I'm not saying Aleister Black's the next Undertaker. I'm not going to say that, but they have.
But if anyone was even remotely close, it'd be him.
Yeah, they have similar characteristics. He's still like 6'1". Like Austin wasn't a big guy either, and he whipped up on Taker and Big Show and everybody. So. Yeah. No offense, a freaking kickboxer is going to be able to kick someone's ass if a drunk redneck bar fighter can do it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone's definitely going to want to join us next week, because if you've been hitting up Facebook and seeing anything that had to do with 2CW, you maybe have seen Chris Lovins talking with old 2CW guys. And
just talked to Slick last night, didn't he?
He did. So we're actually going to have Chris Lovins on next week, and that's going to be awesome. Stu and I ran into him at I think it was the last Rome show for ICW. He was there with our buddy Justin, and it was cool to see him, and so now we're going to be seeing him again. He's going to be on the show, and it's going to be great. And we're definitely going to be trying to get some more guests on here, especially the owner and operator of ICW himself, Mike King.
The King. Wish me happy birthday on Facebook.
Oh, see, he's such a stand-up guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, yeah, we'll be seeing when we can get him on, and seeing if I, get more wrestlers back. Maybe the closer we get to getting some more, ICW, hopefully, and we'll be, just trying to bring you more guests, more content, and all the good stuff. If you want to move some stuff, but you don't want to move it, you should definitely call ejamovingcompany.com or call them. Don't call .com. That's not how things work. Visit them at ejamoving.com. But yeah.
it was a good segue till you totally flubbed. But
Yeah, whatever.
It's all right,
Whatever.
man. It's all right, man. I ain't mad at you. I'm like a Tupac song, baby. I ain't mad at you.
I ain't scared to flub. But yeah, so yes, definitely join us next week. Chris Levins will be on. It's going to be a hell of a show. And our top 5, I think it's going to be people across all companies who should have been the top champ, but never ever were.
Yeah.
So that'll definitely be good. I might even just pick one per company for my own, just to have fun. So
yeah, because I'm pretty sure you're right. I think we've done that one before, but we never did it with a guest, especially with a Chris Lovins. If you don't know who Chris is, he had 2CW. That's how I found out about 2CW, because at an old job that I worked at, he was a rep for another company. He would come into my store a lot, and he's the one that, like, I found out he was a wrestling fan. I was like, bruh, real? He's like, dude, 2CW. I was like, what's that? And he's like, bro. And he told me all about it. And I think that's when they happened to just be having a Rome show, like a month later or something. And I went to it, and yeah, dude, it's just amazing.
That's how I found out because you and Roger found out.
Yep.
So that's how I went. And I was like, oh, I'll go to a wrestling show, whatever. And it was awesome.
Yep. And speaking to 2CW, I mean, it's not a secret. Looks like they're planning one last shebang sometime.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he wants to tell us some more tidbits about that, if he has any information or wants to plug his Remembering 2CW show, I know we're not the biggest avenue for people, but if anybody wants to come on here and plug their stuff, feel free. Just get a hold of us.
Just hit us up. And hopefully you are hitting us up in the comments. I've personally been lazy about being able to view them while we got this whole thing going on. I do try to rewatch the show so I can reply to you so that hopefully you'll see it on, your YouTube or Facebook or wherever you do. So keep commenting away. We will eventually see them and we will get back to you, and we appreciate everyone who watches. So catch us next week. Watch all the other shows that are on Disruption Network because they're awesome, and you should. So, yes, join us next week.
Where we'll actually have a top 5 with Chris.
Yeah, we will have top. Yeah.
So, before we go.
Okay.
Man, it's getting old real quick, Garrett. I mean, have we figured out what we're gonna how we're gonna close this show? Like every week?
No, we can do it next week.
All right.
All right.
All right. Goodbye.
Peace out.